Well, we'll get started just to make sure that we have enough time to get through the conversation. I want to welcome you all to our first Coffee with the C-Suite for 2026, uh, presented by the NEHSE Baltimore chapter. A few house rules. We want to remind participants that they are muted and ask that you stay on mute to prevent any interruptions and background noise. We're encouraging you to use the chat to ask questions. You can put your questions in the chat and we will have a Q&A section towards the end of the program where we'll try to get through all those Q&A. Also, use the chat to comment if something resonates with you, participate in the conversation. We want you to share your energy with us as we have this conversation regarding leadership. My name is Shavonda Logan. I am a certified healthcare executive, specializing in revenue cycle. I also have the privilege to serve as program and event chair for NEHSE Baltimore. So I welcome you all to today's conversation. Thank you. And now, without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to DaNeece Sheldon. DaNeece Sheldon is a high performance executive leadership coach and a viral sensation known for her raw psychological approach to modern corporate dynamics. With a career spanning 30 years in corporate America, DaNeece has transitioned from the boardroom to the forefront of leadership transformation, helping high-level executives navigate the complexities of power, presence, and personal identity. As the founder of Sheldon Consultancy, LLC, her coaching is built upon four critical pillars: leadership identity, executive presence, leadership influence, and ops and scale leadership. DaNeece's insights have resonated with thousands, earning her the reputation as a viral sensation for her ability to strip away corporate jargon and address the true pain points: time, money, and social environments. These things keep leaders awake at night. Through her one-on-one sessions, her masterclasses, and digital platforms, DaNeece empowers all leaders to own their seat at the table with an unapologetic executive presence and a scalable leadership mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, DaNeece Sheldon. Hi, DaNeece.
Hey, Shavonda. Thank you so much. That was a nice introduction. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good. Thank you. We're honored to have you as our first guest for Coffee with the C-Suite and NEHSC Baltimore. We appreciate you making the time for us.
Sure. Of course. Of course. It's so nice to see everybody. Thank you so much.
All right, let's get right into it then.
Okay.
So first question, tell us about an early life experience, such as your upbringing or your family dynamics, or even a childhood activity that may have led you to who you are today.
I cannot speak without mentioning my mother. She was a single parent. She worked for DHS for about 25, 30 years. Uh, I was raised in Baltimore City, actually near Johns Hopkins. I'm sure most people near Johns Hopkins. And growing up, one of the things my mother was adamant about was education, but also reading the fine print. And when I say the fine print, you know how you get those contracts and the,
Hmm.
the print is so small that you have to say, wait a minute, she was adamant about reading the fine print and not using colloquial expressions in the house. I remember that. So it was a big deal to be educated. It was a big deal to understand what you're reading, and it was a big deal to ask questions. If you did not ask questions, one of her favorite sayings was, well, why can't you? Who told you that? So that resonated with me and it stayed with me until now, but also I have children, I have my own children. So it stayed with me for quite some time, actually forever. And like you said, 30 years in corporate, so I'm almost 50. So it stayed with me from a little girl all the way until now.
Yeah, I love that. A mother who empowers children to
Hmm.
ask questions.
Hmm. Yeah.
Definitely a benefit in corporate America as well, or in any
Yes.
setting, right? We want to be
Yes.
able to feel comfortable enough to ask those questions. So you
Exactly.
mentioned your corporate background as a
Hmm.
foundation for your coaching. What did
Hmm.
you experience in corporate America specifically that you wish someone had coached you through earlier?
Well, to be honest, and this might ruffle a few feathers, because I can't see everybody. But
Let's ruffle them.
to be honest, one of the pieces that I noticed was that I was one of the only people of color in the office. It is what it is. I don't
Mhm,
necessarily attribute color to a whole bunch of negativity or positivity. For me, that was very neutral. But I noticed it. And what I did notice was the girls who got ahead, they were very curious. But they also, we'll get to executive presence in a minute, but they also dressed a certain way. So
mm.
I thought to myself, okay, well, I need to get me a cardigan and I need to get me a pencil skirt, not too
Yes.
tight, because Annette was not allowing me to walk out the house like that. But I had to get a cardigan, a nice, button down in a skirt. And I'm 19, so let me get just a little bit of heel and go to work. And that
Mhm,
instantly changed quite a bit. Like it changed from me having conversations with my peers to now me having conversations with those in leadership.
nice.
Just the surface, just the look. And so I said, okay, well that's not bad. I think I could do this. So I went
Mhm,
back to the thrift store and found me, or Kmart or whatever, and I found me another skirt and another cardigan. And so I did that with my little bit of money, right? Because you're not making a lot of money at 19, but you're in an office and you want to look appropriate. So the
mhm,
thrift store, Kmart, and I don't know if anybody remember Ames, but those were my places. And so I would go there, get a button down top, get one sweater or two, and then rotate it accordingly. So that changed things and it changed how people saw me, but it also changed who was speaking to me in those rooms.
yeah, that's definitely, and I see someone put in the chat that famous line, dress for the role you want,
Yes.
not the one you have. That is definitely something we have all heard at some
Hmm.
point in our career, and something that, we have to tell early careers early on
Yes,
in their leadership journey. So
absolutely.
definitely, and then soon you add a blazer to that pencil skirt, you have the full uniform.
Exactly. I had a very good uniform, and I watched my mom do that at Department of Human Resources, right?
Yes.
She was always dressed, and she was a single mom. She's always going to work. She had a hustle, right? So I see that, and you couple that with, okay, now I'm in an office. What do I
Hmm.
need to do? How do I move up? This is where I want to go. Then it changed. I had to begin to adjust my thought process and what I looked like.
Nice. I love it.
Hmm.
So let's shift into your role as president and CEO of Sheldon Consultancy, LLC,
Hmm. Hmm.
because I know there are people in this room who have thought about betting on themselves. What will you say to them?
Jump in with 2 feet, but don't let Instagram fool you. It's not as pretty as it seems. It is a lot of work. And you have to begin to shift the thought process of, yes, you're in corporate, right? So you're working, but it's a different type of hustle, if you will, when you're working for yourself. You're now a little more scheduled.
Sure.
You're thinking more about the next steps. In your work life, you do as well. But now I'm not getting a 15th and 30th check. I
Mm,
am now working for myself. So the question becomes, how hard or how bad do I want this? So I had to begin to look at things differently. But I will say it is hard work, but it was very rewarding work when you see those that you support, coach, and guide, when you see them get it and a light bulb goes off and
mhm.
they enjoy the role that they're in. So I would say it is work. It's not glamorous at times, but it is extremely rewarding. And you are betting on yourself and look for those that wholeheartedly support the journey. I
Yeah.
have a husband that's extremely supportive. And I call her my sister from another mister who's extremely supportive, right?
Mhm.
So you want to look for those that are supportive, those that will help you to understand what they see from the outside, and you have a sounding board as well. Those
Mhm.
things I think are extremely important, but I would say jump in with 2 feet
Yeah,
and
it's
count the
always good
costs
to
before you do it. Yes, count the
have.
costs.
Yeah, it's good to have a boardroom, right? Those
Yeah.
people you can go to for
Hmm.
advice and feedback and
Absolutely.
um, good, honest feedback. So,
Yeah.
and sometimes, right, shifting and betting on yourself may look like entrepreneurship, or it may look like stepping out there and going for a role that you really desire, right? So betting
Yes.
on yourself can look many different ways. And I love
Hmm.
the entrepreneurship journey for you.
Yeah, thank you. Can I say this one thing? Because you're
Yes.
absolutely right. I think when this is what I've seen in my experience, we say, "Oh, I want to get to the next level. I need to go to the next level."
Yeah.
But that's what we say, but we don't necessarily do the background piece. Or what does that require for me to get there? It's not just looking nice. You could look nice, that's great. But
Hmm.
then what sort of shifting am I doing in my mind in order to get to that next level? What
Yeah,
does
the
that
preparation.
require? And then what is those around me? How have I built, if you will, that network that's going to support me when I get there? I think one of the biggest pieces is we think we can do it by ourselves.
Hmm.
Not true. It's not true.
1000%. Yep.
Right. So,
Yep.
and
1000.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
that you said really stuck out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great point. Great point, Denise. So what's one thing, and thinking about that, what's one thing that most leaders think is helping them when it's actually holding them back?
Doing it by themselves.
Hmm.
That's one. And then two, curiosity is a big deal because as you're moving up the ladder, what we'll do is if we are in C-suite,
Hmm.
there's 2 or 3 levels below us, and so what happens is quite often, not all the time, but quite often we're here, we don't necessarily know what's going on here because someone's feeding us information, and if we're not curious, then what happens is I stop asking the why behind why we're doing this,
Hmm.
and so if I understand the why, then the how becomes a little easier. If I understand this is impacting someone 2 levels down or 3 levels across,
Hmm.
right? Then the how becomes a little bit easier because now that curiosity gives me perspective. It allows me to not only ask questions, but continue to be compassionate. I know we don't think about that in corporate, but continue to be
Hmm.
compassionate, continue to have empathy because there are workers under us that are actually doing different types of work.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that remaining curious, asking the why, but then the other piece of that would be we do it by ourselves. We think we have to hustle by ourselves. And I
Yeah.
use the term hustle because every day it is a hustle. You've got to get
Hmm.
it done. However, there is a way about getting it done that can still bring you joy in your role. And I think that's what we miss quite often.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So I know that there are some early careers in this room as well. When you're just
Mhm.
starting out and you're trying to prove yourself, how do you balance being coachable and taking direction while also developing and asserting your own leadership voice?
I think being coachable is a big part of being in leadership. However, I think one would keep in mind that yes, you can coach me on something that may not apply today. It may
Hmm.
apply 3 months down the line. It may
Right.
apply 2 weeks down the line. So that's one piece. And then the second piece is you don't have to prove yourself. You already have the seat. So stop proving and strategize what actually matters in the role.
Hmm.
Right.
Start
So
being curious, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're there. Congratulations, you made it, right?
Hmm.
But then how are you building up those around you at the same time? What does that look like for you specifically? I don't think coaching is cookie cutter. I think everybody has a specific path. They have different personalities, thoughts, and ideas. So you don't have to prove yourself, but I think the beauty in it is remain coachable.
Hmm.
Don't prove yourself, but also help others in that same spot because where you were 6 months ago, someone else is now there. So you can
Yeah.
still continue to encourage. You can still continue to um, encourage and build up others around you.
Hmm. And that is definitely a form of using your leadership and
Hmm.
voice to encourage and help uplift others
Yeah.
and just share your
Hmm.
perspective with them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
like
most
that. I
leaders
like that
want
approach.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
They want it. I don't know anyone who's in leadership, at least in my experience. Most people want some feedback because
Yeah.
we all want to do well.
Hmm.
So where you were 3, 5, 6 years ago, someone's there now. Encourage
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. And just like you said, like sometimes you can be what you're learning today may not be applicable to what you're
Mhm.
doing, but it's preparing you for where you're headed, maybe, or
Exactly.
what's ahead. So being prepared, being coachable is definitely a good place to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So many healthcare leaders rise because they're exceptional doers. They get the job done. They outwork, they outperform, they out execute everyone around them. But at some point, those same strengths become the ceiling. How do you
Mhm.
coach someone through the identity shift from being the person who gets things done to being the strategist who drives the vision?
One of the biggest pieces that I have to tell my clients on a consistent basis is you cannot read the directions, you cannot read the ingredients from inside of the bottle. You have a blind spot and you want to be needed, right?
Mhm.
Who doesn't want to be needed? I want to be needed. The only person that want me though is my husband, but I want to be needed, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is they say, I want to,
Yeah,
yes,
I want to be, we
I
all want
want,
to be needed.
we all want
Pick
to be
me.
needed. We all
Yes.
want to be needed, right? But
Uh-huh.
here's the piece, and I love that question. Thank you for asking that. The thing is, you're doing everything and it's exhausting you. And
Hmm.
so, what one has to do is get a strategy on how to get things done. So, you don't have to do everything. What I try to help them to appreciate is that you are needed just in a different capacity. And if you're
Hmm.
not available in that capacity, then how will you actually expand or scale your leadership? What does that look like if you're not available here? You're not
Yeah,
needed here. What you
right.
have to do is create those boundaries and help ones to appreciate how it needs to get done. There's a whole vetting process, a delegation process, right? So
Hmm.
you're not needed over here once you delegate properly. You're needed here for leadership strategy in order to help whomever or wherever you are in your leadership journey.
Hmm. Yeah, so what I think I hear you saying, and part of that is build that team around you, right? So
Mhm.
although you want to be needed, let that team function without you being the one to drive everything, right? Like you not have to be the one in the middle so you can go over here and lead
Yeah.
strategy. That
Yes.
great point.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
and it what I find is that quite often people are exhausted. That's
Yes.
one, you're exhausted. And then two, you if you know how to, you don't do it because you're constantly putting out fires. And if
Hmm.
I'm constantly putting out a fire, it takes away, I'm in the operational noise, if you will. It takes away from me, to your point, being strategic.
Yeah.
So it can be done. We just have to build it. There's a vetting out process. And it once you understand it and you have a strategy, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes so much sense. That makes so
Hmm.
much sense.
Hmm.
So, how do you coach leaders to build executive presence when they're still proving themselves internally? And I know we talk a lot. You
Sure.
mentioned before, like you don't have to prove yourself. You already have the job, right? But how
Right.
do you build that executive presence on
Hmm.
your journey to the C-suite, maybe?
I think what we're afraid to do at when we're in leadership, for whatever reason, due to trauma, due to different things that happen, we all have a different journey. I think we stop deciding which specific challenges matter. We try to solve all problems.
Hmm.
So we have to decide what problems actually matter. That's one, right? And then I would say the second piece is begin to narrate that impact. Businesses are in business because people want that particular solution, that organization to solve it.
Hmm.
So not only am I deciding what needs to happen, now what is the impact once I decide it, right? Is there a
Hmm.
risk? What's the money involved? Who does it impact? I think that's a big deal. And then lastly, if you can, detach from, try to detach from the outcome.
Oh, yeah. I've heard you say that many a time.
Yes. Try to detach from the outcome. Here's why. If my self worth is based on this particular outcome, I am spent. I'm extremely exhausted. And
Mhm.
it becomes challenging for me to look past that. And then I become critical of myself. And if I'm
Yeah.
critical of me, I don't necessarily see the value that I've actually brought to the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
those, I
I agree.
believe those three pieces, yeah, would be beneficial
Mhm.
for one that that's looking to stop proving themselves, but also want to ensure that they still are strategic. They're still leading a team or being, some people are not leading a team, but they need to build a system in order to
Hmm.
stop putting out a fire.
Yeah, yeah. So let's stay here at executive presence because that's something you coach leaders to have.
Hmm.
Is executive presence a look? Is it the way you speak? What is executive presence and what does that look like?
Sure. So I love that you said, is it a look? Because in the beginning, I said I needed a pencil skirt and a
Right.
cardigan, right? And a top,
Yeah.
because I got my blazer on today. But but one of the pieces, and to be clear, it's combining that, right? It's your look, it's how you speak, when you speak, the silence that you carry. People don't realize that their personality in itself is the executive presence,
Hmm.
right? So I think one of the things you asked me earlier was, how do you feel? I said, no, I'm okay. One of the pieces that are necessary when it comes to executive presence, especially when we're in front of other people, is
Hmm.
about that calmness. Quite
Yeah.
often, we're not calm before we do something because we're a little nervous. That's normal, right?
Hmm.
But if you
Hmm.
can regulate your breathing, if you can regulate how you feel about what you're about to say, and you believe in what you're about to say,
Sure.
after a minute or two, the nerves go away, and now you're projecting exactly what's necessary for you because everybody's presence looks different,
Yeah.
right? But your executive presence specifically for you will begin to level out exactly what you need.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for helping to clarify it and just, give us a vision of what that executive presence
Yeah.
may look like. Okay. Some people in this room have
Hmm.
a desire to go into C-suite.
Mm.
And I would ask, what advice would you give someone going into the C-suite position for the first time?
One of the biggest pieces I would definitely speak to is this, and I thank you for that question. That's a really good one.
Hmm.
Understand and know your worth. I know quite often we could get with we could say, "Oh, I need to do this." And yes, you're already doing specifics, right? But understanding the capacity that you have to do it, and if you couple that with you remaining curious,
Hmm.
it puts you at a different level because it begins to refine who you are. It begins to refine um, how you show up. It
Sure.
begins to refine the network that you're building, how you connect with others. So I think once you, and this is just what I teach my clients. One of the biggest pieces is we miss a whole swath of things because we don't necessarily connect and we don't understand what we bring to the table.
Hmm.
And if you understand what you bring to the table, there's nothing Shavonda or Deborah or Simona or Tyler can tell me that's going to knock me down.
Yeah.
Even if I don't have a college degree, even if I don't have an education, beyond high school, even if I don't have all these pieces that people proactively look for as they're moving up the ladder, if I know who I am and then I trust that piece,
Yeah.
the more I show you my personality, the more you're going to love me, the more refined I become as I move up the ladder. Never stop knowing and understanding your worth. Remain curious and continue to show up.
Yes, I love that. When you started out, it made me think of, not sure how many people attended NEHSC National Conference in October last year, but there was a speaker that said, "Chin up, you got next," and that made me just believe in
Hmm.
myself
Hmm.
so much. I mean that I never forget her whole entire speech, but
Hmm.
that part really stuck with me because knowing yourself as you're going into those type of leaderships where
Hmm.
it's a selfless work, it's a thankless
Yes.
job. You
Hmm.
truly have to know who you are and hold your head up because your time
Hmm.
is down. So
Yeah,
I
we
appreciate that.
compromise our
Thank you.
values.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
And when
Hmm.
we compromise it, that's what makes us shrink. And then now that I've shrink back, now I don't know if I can do this role. Why
Yeah,
did you compromise in the first place? Let's not
yeah.
compromise.
Remember those values to anchor
Yeah.
you. Got you.
Remember the values. Yeah.
I got you, coach.
Yes. Remember the remember them.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. So let's shift into you and your leadership.
Mhm.
What are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow and develop as a leader so you can give back and be able to pour into other leaders and be able to coach them through whether it's healthcare crisis or any situation that they may be facing?
I think it's important to continue to cultivate my mindset around educating those in leadership. So
Hmm.
education, as I said in the beginning, education was a big deal to my mom. It's a big deal to me. I
Hmm.
have to continue to read. I have
Yeah,
to continue to go to seminars. I have to continue to do things that refines me as a leadership coach. But then also, I don't think it's always about the books. It's also about connecting with people. This
yeah.
coffee with the C-suite, I love it because it allows me to connect with other people because not everyone has the same journey and or challenges as they're
Mhm.
moving up in their career. So it requires me to stay open. It requires me to continue to cultivate that curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity is something we naturally have, but to dig deeper, I like to dig
Mhm.
deep. That's why I told you before, I probably don't have a lot of friends because if you tell me something, I'm going to ask, okay, that was a surface piece. Can we go a little bit deeper than that? But I do that on purpose because you can't just tell me something and that's it.
Right.
I want to know and understand it and what makes one tick.
Hmm.
Because in my mind, okay, why is that happening? And can we resolve that? What does that look like if you saw the other side of that? So I'm
Yeah.
always educating myself, but more importantly, I'm always trying to connect with others to understand what the challenge is and how we can resolve it.
Nice, nice. I love that. And you're definitely a person who always seek that feedback, right? So you're
Yes.
always engaging with your students to give you feedback on what went well
Hmm.
week after week.
Yeah.
I'll share my personal testimony. I've gone through one of DaNeece's leadership coaching, an 8-week program, and the leader that I walked in there as was not, I'm not the same person when we got done that class. And it just really helped me to remember and be reminded and a good reset of
Hmm.
who I am as a leader. And she definitely brings that out of you, but she always sought feedback. How can we make this better? What are you not getting? What
Hmm.
do you need more of?
Hmm.
So that feedback definitely helps you grow and develop your,
Yeah.
and even like develop your coursework to be what your
Hmm.
clients need. So I love that.
I want to be needed, Siobhan.
Yeah.
Stop it.
You are. And you are definitely needed. And we all need that leadership coach in our
Yeah.
life at any stage of career. So
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. And
Um,
feedback is good, right?
yeah,
Feedback is good. If I
absolutely. We
don't
need
get it, how
feedback.
can I refine?
Like you said, those blind spots, we all have
Hmm.
them. Hmm.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
what are you most proud of your work in Sheldon Consultancy?
I am most proud of my clients that walk away and say, thank you, I get it. I
Hmm.
got it. Or when we're in a session and they're like, oh my goodness, okay. It didn't dawn on me. I just got it, right? One of the biggest pieces, if you watch my social media, you'll see I always talk about the corporate game, right?
Hmm.
And so most people, they're not paying attention because they're putting out these fires,
Hmm.
or they're paying attention, but they still feel invisible. So once the light bulb goes off and they get it, I
Yeah.
think that's where I walk away. I do cartwheels. My husband's like, really? So I do the cartwheel down the hall because I'm so excited that they got it or they implemented what we talked about and they come back the following week and like, that was on point. I got it. It went well. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you how it worked out. So I love those pieces because everybody wants to do well. And my goal is to ensure that you're doing well. It's just a few tweaks here and there, and you get it. So I think with Sheldon Consultancy, that's the biggest piece. It's all about those that I coach and I guide.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
So I want to thank you again for taking the time to go through these questions and pour into our leaders who are on these calls, on this call. I really value your time and we Baltimore cannot speak highly of you as I would like to. You know, you're my coach for life. Love ya.
Yes. Thank you
So
so
we're
much.
going to definitely move into the Q&A section of this conversation. I have Tyler Alexander, who is my co-committee chair. She's helping us out with some questions from the audience.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shavonda. So for the next half of the webinar, we are taking you all's questions. So please feel free to start placing your questions in the chat. We got a couple of questions through the survey that we sent out that I will start us off with, but please feel free, everyone, to share any questions that you all might have. So the first question that we received,
Hmm.
I think, is building off of your advice about remaining curious and continuing to show up as it
Hmm.
relates to advice for people who are interested in moving into the C suite. So I
Hmm.
know that everybody's interests here are likely different and our paths are so different, but I'm wondering how you would advise people who are looking to gain like key experiences or qualities. What do you believe defines the transition from an emerging healthcare leader to an executive?
To define that transition, well, first, let me start here. As someone's emerging, one of the biggest pieces they can do is observe, right? As you observe, you're going to pick up the key players in the room, but you're also going to pick up pieces that you'll be able to glean and use that as you move up the ladder. I think what quite often emerging leaders, what they may miss is they want to jump in and start. Nothing wrong with starting, but begin to observe first. And as you observe, you will glean information that you can use. Take that information, flip it into your own personality, however you want to use it as you're going up the ladder. So that's for the emerging leaders. For those that are the middle of the pack, right? Again, remain curious, but help those emerging leaders get to where you are. And then those that are already in C-suite, the biggest piece, at least from my perspective, for them is not just the curiosity, but they have to have, from my perspective, the empathy piece
Yeah.
because they are getting information 2 or 3 levels in between, or someone's feeding them information. And so, as you get fed that information, if we're not in the room with those that are 2 or 3 levels down, we just say, oh, let's make a decision. But that decision is going to impact those that are 2 or 3 levels down. And you may not know how that decision will impact them. Does that answer your question, Tyler?
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have another question from India in the chat. She says, as an introverted leader who isn't the most talkative or the loudest person in the room, how have you leaned into your strengths and navigated spaces that often rewarded more outspoken personalities?
Thank you for that. I like that. Um, for introverted people, and I guess I would have a backup question. You know me, I got questions. But for those that are introverted, one of the things that I appreciate about them is quite often they're very observant. However, begin to build 1 or 2 at a time, begin to build your network of those that are possibly influencers. Here's why. Because as an introvert, you may not, to some extent, you may not be a person that's going to influence someone else, depending on your personality. That's why I said I have more questions. But if you know someone who is a key stakeholder or decision maker and you've connected with them, quite often they'll begin to take your idea if you've explained it well, you've narrated or you've provided the story, the information behind it. They can take your idea and push it forward, but you have to build that connection with them.
Mhm.
And then once you do that, it allows your the piece or your project, your initiative to move forward, but you two can work together so that that person doesn't take all the credit. So you have to be mindful of that as well. I
Yeah.
hope that
Absolutely.
helps.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Okay. And
And
I want to encourage you guys, stick around for the end of this conversation or the end of the webinar. We have a special surprise for you guys if you want to take your coaching to the next level, I would say.
so the next question that we also received from somebody through the survey, they wanted to know in your experience advising leaders, how have you helped people navigate major career pivots? And what advice do you have for them?
If you're navigating or if you're adjusting your career, one of the biggest pieces that I want you to know is that, and this goes far beyond what you see today, meaning when you think down pike, when you think down line. But if you're pivoting in your career, one of the biggest pieces I want you to do is own your personality.
Mhm.
When something happens, quite often we feel like, oh my goodness, this is my fault. I'm not good enough. I need to do this. This is who you are. Own it. And that onus, if you will be shown to the ones that are interviewing you when you're networking. All of those pieces matter. So what I find is that we get lost in the sauce, right? Something happens, we decide to pivot or we're adjusting, and then it doesn't come the way we want it to, or something major happens and it sets us back 2 or 3 steps. Keep pushing, keep going. But I want you to allow your personality to shine. And I think we forget that part because we're so heavy into, I got to have this, I have to have it. We're not patient. I understand why. We're human. We're not patient. But we also keep in mind, as you're navigating, if you decide, oh, I'm just going to jump and do this, guess what happens? I haven't fully vet out this particular piece that's going to get me to here. So, in the process of going to the next level, be aware of all pieces, let your personality shine, and be mindful on how you show up because other people feel that energy that you're bringing to the table. And since they feel it, if you're insecure or unsure, guess what they feel? I don't want to hire her or him. They're unsure. They're not, what are they doing? So bring your personality, be certain of what you offer and continue to navigate it. Try not to skip over pieces that's going to benefit you in your next role or as you're beginning to pivot.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So, Christopher, it looks like you have your hand up. Go for
Hey,
it.
hey, appreciate it. And I'm gonna come on camera, even though I'm not camera ready. I know whenever you're doing these types of things, people not having a camera on can be a little, can just bring your energy down a bit. So if I'm
Thank you,
asking a question,
Christopher.
I feel like I need to come on camera.
Uh-huh.
So thank you for the insight and all the information so far. Really appreciate it. I saw your post on LinkedIn this morning about leadership influence.
Mhm.
So what I was wondering is, what about the opposite direction? Because you were talking about leadership influence and using that leadership influence with your team. But
Mhm.
what if you're not the leader on the team? How do you then use your influence in the reverse direction with that leader, that supervisor, that manager, in a
Sure.
way to get things done?
You know what people love? And this with leadership, this is exactly what leadership influence is, connection. One of the pieces that people love in, this is a secret, Christopher.
Okay.
Um,
Hold on. Hold on. Go ahead.
I'm
right, this
close.
is a secret,
Listen
Christopher.
closely.
Right,
Mhm.
very secretive. One of the things that people absolutely love is for you to ask about them, get interested in who they
Come
are.
on. Come
Hmm.
So if I know now, Shavonda probably will attest to this. I will say, well, how is Corb doing? How is Noah? How's the family? What's going on?
Yeah.
Right? Now, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I hope Deborah Isola, am I saying that right? Isola.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ishilla.
Isola. Did you get married recently?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So if I told Deborah, tell me about the wedding. Deborah
Hmm.
going to tell me about the diamonds she got, how the wedding went. She's going to tell me everything, right? When she tells me that, what do? I put that in my back pocket. In about a month or two, I may see Deborah at the mall. Deborah, oh my gosh, I saw your wedding pictures. I know I'm not stalking you, but you look so pretty. I remember your husband's name is whatever his name is. How is he doing?
Yeah.
People love that you are interested in them and they become interested in you.
Hmm.
So when I was in corporate, one of the pieces I had their dog died, grandmother passed away. Okay, fine. What is it that you need, right? Because I want to be a resource. And then how can I help you move past this particular challenge? So once you become interested in them, they become interested in you. And once they are interested, then that's where the influence comes in.
Hmm.
And once you're that connection is made and they're helping you, well, now you've got a fast friend. Now we friend, now we cool.
Mhm. And she is spot on because she remembers everything that I tell her.
Yeah.
And so all of my chapter committee members, she know all of you guys by name already because she may be helping me navigate things. She's just amazing. So thank you, Christopher, for the question. We
Thank you,
really
Christopher.
appreciate it.
Nice to meet
Um,
you.
yeah.
Nice to meet you as
So
well.
we have to wrap up. Oh, Dr. Pam, all right, we want to get you in. We got 1 minute for one more question, if that's okay with you, Tyler.
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay.
Absolutely. My apologies for the late raised hands, ladies. Christopher, thank you for starting the on-camera approach. Ms. Sheldon or DaNeece, I appreciate your time today. Quick question for you. How do you navigate? So I'm going to call out bands so you'll understand where I sit. So at the highest level of our organization, let's just say band 6 is oversees an 80,000 employee company, right? I am at the top level of a band 4. Today, I mentor band 2s, and I also, so I am over the government and education component for the Midwest, right? Meaning retaining relationships and ensuring their success for their P&L, right? So I feel like I'm doing everything. They also know, I feel like, right? So as you as an executive coach, you're probably like, well, perhaps you're not doing everything, Pamela. But my question is, you feel like you have your doctorate, right? You feel like you know that you're the SME in the air in that particular, and I live in Chicago. You have to know machine politics. You have to know how to navigate. You have to be in rooms with the right people, right?
Yeah.
And I do understand that in prior times, we didn't have the affordability or the unit costs, right, that would allow for us to hire in our particular area for another role. And my question to you is this: you feel like you've done everything. You're mentoring those because I am a servant leader, so I know that it is important for me to always reach back and pull somebody else forward. You've been doing this for 25 plus years, and your direct report or the person that you report into that owns the P&L for the sector, we're not there yet. Just keep doing what you're doing. Well, DaNeece, I've been doing it for years, right? And so when do you feel like you have all of the skills, you're mentoring others, you're pulling them up, and you're still not there? And it's quite disheartening because you're like, okay, when is this going to occur? You have the presence, you have the communication, you have the poise, and you're still not there. What is your recommendation, or what would you offer?
So, Dr. Pam, I see your name down there. Thank you
Yes,
for your
ma'am.
question.
Mhm.
I would have to ask another question, which becomes if we're still not there. And when you say still not there, are we talking the next level?
That is correct.
Okay, I wanted
Correct.
to make sure. Okay.
Meaning, yes, correct.
Okay. If we're still not there, then my question becomes, number one, have you asked the appropriate questions around what that looks like for you specifically? That's one. And then two, when you tell me still not there, because I am a person of questions, I need you to be specific with me. And then I can glean that information and begin to refine what you're telling me.
Right. So when I say still
Right?
not there, or when I've asked the questions, and ladies, I'm sorry, I will be really quick. When I mean what I'm saying is when you're still not there, in the being considered for that next role, right?
Okay.
Owning the P&L, right, for
Okay.
the G&E perspective from my organization for the Midwest. And you have a quarterly meeting with the president of the vertical, as well as your market leader is aware of your desire to grow within the organization. And I am always the one at finalist presentations. I am always the SME in the room because I am the only one who knows the business in this particular market. And then I am in rooms with people that have a role, so not G&E, so I'm specific G&E, so let's just say commercial, private sector roles, and you know that they are not where they need to be. I'm just offering my observation, but you know they also have mothers and fathers in the industry, right, that got them to where they are. So they are able to stumble, they are able to fall and wipe their knees off and learn in that particular role while you are not.
That's actually, I was just about to ask you that. Your
I'm
network, what
sorry,
does that
ladies,
look
give me,
like? Oh,
yeah, give me 1 second. If I could pause this really quick, I
And
want to
we,
make sure that we get a chance to get to a few other important updates information. But Dr. Pam, I want to connect the two of you so you can further
yeah,
this question with DaNeece, and I'll sponsor some things with her to get you all connected so y'all can further
yes.
work through that. Okay.
thanks,
Thank you
Shavonda. And
so much.
DaNeece,
We really
I linked,
appreciate
I
that
clicked on
question.
LinkedIn, just so you know. I'm sorry to
Perfect.
interrupt. I clicked
Okay.
on LinkedIn. So I'll
Yeah.
go on mute.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
so much.
Okay, thank
No
you.
problem, no problem. And Tyler, if you could bring up the slides, we want to encourage you guys to, if there are any members from NEHSC Baltimore or even national on the line, if you could drop your LinkedIn, your socials, anything you want in the chat, and even, people that are on the call, drop your LinkedIn in the chat. We want to be able to connect with you guys, stay connected with us. You can find me on LinkedIn under Shavonda Logan, but I'm happy to drop my link in the chat as well. But we do want to get out some important things about becoming a member at NAHSC, specifically the Baltimore chapter, because we're the best in the East. So this is some information on how you can become a member for NAHSC. If you scan the QR code, you'll be able to go and join us. We welcome all new members. And we're a growing chapter and excited for what the work that we're doing in Baltimore and Maryland in general. If you could advance. And we also want to take a moment to honor and celebrate and thank our board. Our president is on the line. Deborah is on the line. And I think there may be some other committee members on the line. Thank you, guys. I see Ash is on the line. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it. And again, thank you, DaNeece. And we want you guys to stay connected with us. Tyler has done a fantastic job of creating a link tree. The link tree has all of our information. We have a feedback survey. Please give us feedback. We want to know how we can make this better. How was it today? Is there anything we can do better? And what topics you want to hear in the future? There's also reviews and information on how to get in touch with DaNeece. And all of her information is a part of that link tree as NAHSC Baltimore information. Just for a special for our NAHSC Baltimore chapter, DaNeece has given us a discount for her next masterclass. And so we are grateful and appreciative to her for doing that for our chapter. And all of you who are on the line, even if you're not a part of the chapter, we want you to come join us. But you still get to take advantage of this wonderful offer as well. When you scan the QR code that's there and you click that link, it'll take you right to the discount. You don't need a code. You don't need anything. It's all there from the link tree. She has a lot of different things that she offers, and I really highly recommend DaNeece. She's a fantastic coach. I call her coach all the time. She has just really been a blessing to my life, and I know that she will be for many people, whether you're early careers, mid, or already in the C-suite. She's stuck with me for life. So when I get to the C-suite, she'll be right there with me. So I want to thank again our committee members who may be on the line. Thank our chapter members who are on the line, as well as national representatives. We really appreciate you participating in our conversation. And a special thank you to Tyler. Me and her are running the event committee right now solo. Thank you so much, Tyler, for everything that you do. And we do also want to encourage our members and people on the line, get involved. We always need people to participate in our committees. We have a few committees and events coming up, right? So you can get involved in many of our committees. We have communication, fundraising. We're always looking for committee members. Our Education and Student Liaison Committee is looking for people to participate in that as well. So please join us. And if you could go back one slide, I'm sorry, Tyler, I got ahead of myself. Few upcoming events. For April, we have NAHSC Welcome Week that is specifically centering maternal health. So we'll be having a membership meeting networking, and a cocktail with the C-suite. So we had our coffee this morning, but in April, we'll be having a cocktail with the C-suite and having that conversation. Look out for updates that will be coming out about that event. It is April 24th, and here in Baltimore. We also have a community service event that's going to take place in April and a public policy panel. So please watch our LinkedIn and or our Instagrams for more updates on those events that we have coming up. And then in May, we also have an executive network fundraising event. And I think that is all right. So join our community. So again, thank you all. This has been an amazing conversation. I really hope that you take something back that really resonated with you. Being curious has stuck with me. Always remain curious, right? And empathetic to those around us. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you making the time and look forward to connecting with you all in future sessions. Bye.